Rasty McGibbon with ACHA Tournament Director Russ Slagle. Russ, thanks for coming on.
Hey,
I think this is a first, isn't it? That, I don't know how many years you've been doing this, but this is the first time we've actually had you on to talk about it.
Well, we did do a little scenario in the van.
In the van, which was a beauty.
Yeah, stuck on the road for 3 hours. All we could do is pull up a little clips of everything we wanted to talk about in the van. Go figure.
54 weeks, 10 national champions crowned, gold medal and a silver medal at the World Cup of University Hockey. You were there in Karlsruhe, Romania. And the theme that the word that resonates in my tired brain is effortless. This whole tournament just seems so effortless, and I know that it's not. Tell me, first of all, I guess let's start. Tell me when the planning starts for something like this.
For me, it starts a week after I get home after this tournament's over with. From the preparation mentally to starting to plan what needs to be done for what we did here to make better, it starts then. And then as we get closer and closer and closer to it, the final plans start to be massaged a little bit more on how we're going to do things. And one of the important things for me is, like this year, I would come down here on the 31st of January and met with the people that were going to be helping us, and we went through a whole process of walking the building and trying to get things prepared for when I came down here on the 5th of March to be able to get things up and running again. So when I got here on the 5th, I walked into the arena here and I met up with Luke and Parker and those guys, and we started putting the plan in place, and within a day and a half we were good to go. The hardest part about the tournament stuff is going from the preparation to the actual gameplay. There's like a 3-hour window that it's a little bit hectic from going one to the next, and then after we get the games going, things tend to work themselves out. So,
tell me about the partnership that you have forged with the staff here at Centene. I mean, we've had volunteers and students on practicums from Maryville. Steve and Lloyd. Just tell me about how awesome it is to partner with Centene.
So when we were here 2 years ago, we had our first experience with the Centene staff, and everywhere you go, there's hiccups in the beginning, and you got to figure out what's the best way to do it. So coming into this year, obviously, we learned with 2 years ago having meetings on Zoom. We had Zoom meetings once a month, and then as we got closer every other week. And that kind of put all of us in a position of getting to know each other before we got to really know each other. So working with the staff here has been awesome. I can tell you here, this is the key to the city. They gave me a master key to the whole entire building, so I can go around and be able to get things done. And it's the trust factor that we have with one another, which has been awesome. So
what would you say as, and you're really an unsung hero, right? I mean, probably the times that people recognize you are when you are out helping with the award ceremony. But I mean, what are some of the biggest challenges that you face as a tournament director?
Getting people to stay in their lane. We had a situation the other night where the clock was messing up on the playground rink, and we had to move the 7 o'clock game over to the NHL rink, and as we were trying to put it all together, people were making comments about what we were going to do and not do, and I finally had to say, no, we're doing it this way. Well, unfortunately, the communication gap didn't get filled, and somebody decided to start the warm-ups over in the NHL rink when we had no staff that could be over there.
Right.
So, and unfortunately, the person that did it was one of the referees. It wasn't anybody in our group. It was a referee that felt, and as I said to her, I said, I appreciate the initiative, but there's a lot more that goes into this than just starting the clock for warm-ups. Because had the game gone over in overtime on Plager, there's no way we could have started the game on the NHL. So now we have the teams are already warmed up, and now we have to tell them, now you got to wait until this game's over with and it's in overtime. So, but working with Steve Brickman has probably been one of the greatest things that happened this year, because he really took it on himself to get the volunteers. He was here the whole entire time. He filled gaps everywhere that gaps needed to be filled. So when I was dealing with the crises, I had somebody that would walk around and make sure the rest of the stuff was being taken.
And I'll tell you something, I am here and you are here a lot of hours.
Yes.
Okay. Steve is here before I get here, and Steve is here when I go home.
Yes.
I mean, it's I don't know when the guy sleeps, honestly.
Well, Steve has a lot of connections here in the area, and that's what really helped out with the volunteer stuff. And he called me, it had to be about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and says, I'm running into problems of getting volunteers. Everybody's kids are playing in tournaments all over the place, and they can't fulfill the needed voids. So I called Tim Ryan, who's now in charge of the sports commission, and asked him to give us their volunteer list so we can tap into it. And Steve managed all that, so I got the information to him, and he was able to fill the gaps where we needed.
You know, some might say that your role is somewhat of a thankless job. Where does the gratification and all your hard work come from?
It comes from the coaches. It comes from the parents. When they see me running around here and they're shaking my hand and saying, thank you, you did a great job with another tournament. You know, that's where everything comes from. That's the drive that I have to do what I do, is to know that I made a difference in somebody else's life. And more importantly, not so much the coaches, but if it's an extension of the coach, can you imagine what the players feel?
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of the players that know me, because I've been around for such a long time, they thank me too as they see me walking up and down the hallway, out in the lobby and stuff like that. But, you know, as thankless of a job as it is, it's also a rewarding job because I know that I made a difference in somebody's life. And just like you said, I'm here from the beginning until the end, and all day long, all day night. Sometimes I don't get out of here until after midnight, depending on what's going on. So,
okay, truth be told, did you wake up this morning, take a deep sigh, and go, there's only one more of these to give away?
Well, I actually texted a few people who said, woo woo.
Yeah.
It's almost over.
Almost over, yeah.
But, you know.
And would you agree it's a marathon, not a sprint?
Yes, you have to go into it thinking it's a marathon. If you think you're going to get through this, you know, lickety split, it's never. You're setting yourself up for failure. You know, and there's a lot of long nights, like I said, and it goes to the saying that we as a group, as a whole group, not just part of the group, we all work together and we all try to make sure that we're driving and striving to move in the same directions to get stuff done. So, and that's what's the biggest part of this, is getting the people to understand their positions and roles and where they play an important part in what we're trying to do here. You being one of them, with trying to put it out there so everybody can see and talk to the players and the coaches and stuff, you know. And that's a huge plus for our organization.
Well, no, and I'm grateful for you feeding me players, because, you know, after the game, when there's pandemonium, I think the last thing they're thinking about is, hey, we need to document our victory. So thank you for implementing that.
Yeah. So.
And if you want to hear some great stuff on Apple or Spotify, ACHA Bar Down Podcast, Episode 1, Midnight Shenanigans, with this guy, Russ Slagle, in the Carpathian Mountains of Romania, listening to the Rolling Stones on Spotify. It was good times, eh?
All right, buddy.
Russ, thanks so much.
Love you, man.
Yeah, love you too.